This is Rao Talk.
And I guess earlier, in one of the other podcasts, I'd made some comment about John Williams being a hack and basically ripping off themes and whatnot from earlier composers. And so I thought, like, oh yeah, I'll go with that theme. And kind of as time went on, and I started listening to these pieces again, and then listening to the John Williams stuff, and I kind of feel like I need to retract what I had said earlier. And
okay,
kind of what's it called? I shift my perception of it, or like the wording. So not approach it in such a critical way, but maybe approach it in a more like, oh yeah, this is what these are kind of the or at least when I listen to this music, I can hear where the influence comes from and what may have influenced John Williams, and ultimately too, just movie scores in general. I mean, a lot of I guess a lot of the romantic composers are I mean, at least when I listen to it, it seems very cinematic and very I don't know, a lot of like swells and the melodies, the way the orchestration is put together, and instrumentation. I think that time period, kind of the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, it definitely influenced a lot of movie score writing, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, I think there's something to be said about especially for John Williams' case, like taking certain themes or motifs and then reworking it so that it's basically creating, I guess, like a new iconography, or the themes and ideas basically get passed along, and even though people might not know where these come from or where the influence came from, it's like that style and that I guess the style continues on, and people have new imagery and new kind of emotional I don't know, not attachment, but the way they interact with the music, that they're it continues on. So a lot of I don't know, I'm and the thing too is, like, I'm sure there's composers I haven't listened to that may have actually directly influenced them. Like I've never listened to any interview of him talking about his own personal influences, but like, it's just the stuff that I've listened to that while listening to it, it's like, oh yeah, this reminds me a lot of like Star Wars, or I mean, the one song in particular I'll show later is Jaws. It's the one of the opening to the fourth movement of Dvořák's Ninth Symphony. It's like, I don't know, once you hear it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's Jaws. Like, I can hear it. But then when you listen to the Jaws soundtrack, like, it doesn't actually, like, the two sort of start off in a similar manner, but then John Williams takes it in a different direction than what Dvořák did.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as if he kind of mashed a bit of Dvořák and Stravinsky together. But yeah, I'll show that. Well, I don't know, maybe I'll just show that now. Why not? I'm already talking about it. All right, so yeah, this is the beginning of Dvořák's or the fourth movement of Dvořák's Ninth Symphony, which is the not I was going to say New Age Symphony, but that's not right. The oh Jesus, New World Symphony, I think. Yeah, I guess Wikipedia here says that. Well, I mean, Dvořák was a fan of using like folk music in his work, and I guess this was influenced by. It says, at least on Wikipedia here, Dvořák was interested in Native American music and the African American spirituals he heard in North America. So I guess influenced by his time in North America, I guess.
Okay.
But definitely, it's this kind of I don't know, the intensity of some of the pieces or parts of the movements definitely has like a colonial edge to it. So that's I think that's something too that's interesting, is the like with the Star Wars, especially with the Imperial army themes and like Darth Vader's themes. And there is like, it's almost as if this time period, which was pretty heavily, I don't know, like colonialism was kind of in its heyday in a sense. Like a lot of Europeans coming over to North America, and so the music really reflects that, a lot of intensity, and so it's almost as if John Williams kind of takes that intensity and puts it into like the Stormtrooper themes and Darth Vader's stuff. All right, here we go. So this is John's. So it kind of keeps going, but so there's just like that beginning part. I'll play it again because it's only a few bars, but I think it's it has Jaws all over it. Here we go. Oh yeah, and then
Yeah.
I'll pull up John Williams. Oh yeah, that's what I was doing here. This is John Williams soundtrack. So different, but similar. Like rhythmically. Oh, what the hell? Sounds like a MIDI file.
Yeah, I can hear the
Weird.
similarity.
So yeah, just like that sort of like heavy on the strings and lower bass end, a repetitive donut. And again, like the John Williams kind of goes in, it almost seems a bit more of like a Stravinsky direction afterwards, after that opening theme, whereas Dvořák goes into like I don't know, I don't know. I have the image of like boats sailing across the sea
Okay.
on a path of conquest. Um, yeah, maybe I'll jump into Stravinsky stuff just because. So yeah, Dvořák wrote that Ninth Symphony in 1841. He was born in 1893. So it was 40 years. Yeah, the piece was written 40 years before John Williams was born, and 80 years before Star Wars came out. Or fuck, Star Wars. I don't know, Jaws, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm reading numbers of all over this little notepad. So yeah, I don't know, Stravinsky's piece here. I'm going to play the Rite of Spring, and a bit of a backstory to it is that I can't remember exactly. I think it wasn't the so it was music written for a ballet. I guess one of his friends or a choreographer he knew, he wrote this piece of music for that, and I don't think it was on the premiere, but I think because it may have been when they first played it in Paris, or else the other way around, like the first time they played it in Russia, because Stravinsky's Russian. Anyways, one of the first few times that they performed this piece, it basically incited a riot in the theater. Like it was just so far out there for the time that like I guess people who couldn't handle these sounds started to like shout at the stage, and then people in the crowd who wanted to like just experience it and listen to it were like started yelling at the people who were heckling the band and the dancers, and eventually like fighting broke out in the crowd, and supposedly the owner of the theater thought it was a good idea to like flick the lights on and off to try and like get people to calm down. So it's like this, I don't know, it's just this whole comedy of errors. Or it makes me think of something out of like I don't know if you've seen Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddles. There's a scene near the end when like I don't know, everyone's basically breaking through into all these different movie sets, and there's like they start fighting in the I don't know what the I don't know. Everyone like these guys they bump into are all in top hats and like have canes and are dancing around, and so this brawl breaks out. But yeah,
But,
no,
it sounds like to me that when this was first performed, it was basically the OG mosh pit.
yeah, yeah. And it's nuts too because like supposedly things got so loud that like the dancers couldn't really hear the orchestra, and then like they were getting all kind of off. So it was just like chaos, absolute chaos. Yeah. And supposedly at one point in Stravinsky's career, he like broke down in front of a friend, just like going on about how he was like such a failure of a composer and this and that, and yet I think his music has like influenced 21st century music way more than other composers, like in terms of like rhythm and harmonies, and basically pushing boundaries that allowed other people to say like, oh yeah, I can write stuff like that. Or it's
Right.
it basically opened up the like the society's ear, I guess, to these different sounds. Okay, anyways, so yeah, I'll play some snippets. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, actually, I don't really have any like specific pinpoint themes for this one. That they're more just like general sounds and feelings, I guess, that I noticed too, specifically, like a lot of John Williams, like kind of music that's like um, I don't know how to describe it, but it's not really the foreground. So in parts of the movie where it's just like, I don't know, the strings are holding a like long tones or something, or it just kind of fills in the space. Um, it reminded me a lot of Stravinsky stuff. Yeah, just kind of these like, I don't know, a bit more ethereal.
Yeah, it was a bit better.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. So you can kind of hear, like, I don't know, a number of movies where there's like trying to build tension, or whether it's an action scene or someone's being chased, or these kind of like repetitive, I don't know, intense.
Yeah.
They're heavy on the strings and the repetition of notes, very rhythmic. Oh yeah, I guess I'm kind of bled into the next section. Oh wait, no, never mind. 840. All right, here's another segment.
Is this? Okay, yeah, it really does sound like that part in a movie where you have your protagonist like in a heated discussion with the antagonist or something,
Right.
or there's some kind of betrayal.
Yeah, and even I think it might be in the second part. There's a section with the trumpets, and they play this line, and it makes me think of I think in the earlier Star Wars movies where like the X-wing fighters are flying around, or they leave the base and they're doing their battle.
Yeah.
See if see if I can maybe find that. So this is part of the second movement. So you can imagine, I'm sure Beethoven was still very popular at the time. Listening to this.
All right. This is what got people to start moshing, eh?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And it makes sense too, because when you think about how movies put together and how someone has to, like, the composer basically has to watch the film, and then it's like, all right, I've got 5 seconds, I gotta have this theme fit that section, and so you have to get creative rhythmically so everything lines up. So it makes sense that because of Stravinsky's rhythmic approach is very like sporadic, it seems.
Yeah.
Here, one second.
That sounds like a spaceship battle for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking like a lot of these parts are almost like little rhythmic fills that trumpets use and strings. It's like a call response. And it's not they aren't really playing like a melody or anything, but I guess it creates a kind of repetition and a really drive a kind of driving rhythm, I guess. And I guess it kind of without creating like over the top music, it supports, I guess, the intensity or the tension of the whatever scene that he's writing for.
Yeah, that was a really heavy sound. It's like there's a lot going on. Maybe there's a chase, a lot of movement on the screen.
Well, there's that one a little bit with the trumpets that do 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 do. Let's see if I can. It for whatever reason, it reminds me of like the X-wing fighting. Any kind of like space ship fight. So yeah, that's Stravinsky for you. Super awesome. I'm a big fan of that piece. He's got another piece, Petrushka, which is really good. Not really in theme with the talk today, I guess, but definitely worth checking out.
Okay.
All right. Now, okay, so the one that really, I guess, so I'm going to play Chopin's funeral, or his piano sonata number 2, funeral march, and you can tell me what it sounds like to you. Yeah, and it kind of goes off into the B section there. But did you get that?
When I was hearing that, I was just waiting for the beat to drop, like an EDM track.
But it's like, I think this is the one that's probably the closest I don't know, I guess closest thing to forgery, I guess. or what's it called?
Oh, okay.
Not forgery, plagiarism, musical plagiarism. But yeah, Darth Vader's theme is very whatever, Imperial March. And then go back to.
That's a very iconic sound.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I can hear the similarity. It's just
like,
slower and quieter, it sounds like.
Yeah. Kind of vamping between the two chords, and then even the theme, the main like melody is quite similar. I mean, like, yeah, Williams definitely like embellishes it, moves it around, and has the orchestra to change the instrumentation and whatnot. So I remember, I think this was the piece where that really, like, I don't know, solidified my bias, I guess.
You know, that sounds like Darth Vader at a coffee shop on a Sunday afternoon, just with his head down, sitting at the chair with a mug of coffee, and you can see the leaf that the barista drew in there, and he's just thinking to himself, "I'm so lonely."
Yeah. Yeah. He's he retired, and he's now all lethargic, and he's like, what am I gonna do with the rest of my life? Sigh.
I have to kick this caffeine addiction, but it's just so good.
Yeah.
I have to compensate for the sadness with coffee.
Well, it's funny you say that, because at least from what I understand, I think Chopin played like, not in cafe settings, I guess, but in public settings. Would have done dances, and I'm guessing we would have played in like little cafes and whatnot as well. So yeah, no, that was kind of an interesting comparison I found, or I thought, like, very similar.
Yeah, for sure, I hear it.
Yeah, and then next on the list, I guess, is and I think Holst's The Planets is I think probably the most, like, comparable, I guess, like in terms of the just the style and the approach, instrumentation. I think Holst's The Planets are even, again, they don't necessarily share the same melodies or harmonic progressions, but just in terms of the approach, they're very well, and also to just the theme of the planets. And I wouldn't be surprised if John Williams kind of worked with that. So this is Mars. Oh yeah, I'm still sharing. Okay. This is Mars, God of War. I guess the first movement of the symphony. It like really picks up. Repeats themes again. Yeah, I'll pull up. Not sure which movement of it is. Neptune, because there's kind of like slow. It's a bit slower and more quiet, but it has that more ethereal quality that you'll find in like in between scenes or the scenes that are less. I don't know. When characters are talking and yeah, it's like, oh, they're confronted with a problem, gotta solve it, or
right.
something. Yeah. Seventh movement, the mystic Neptune. Start from the beginning. So it reminds me of like when nothing's really going on, they're just kind of floating in space and chatting. There's like this mysterious quality.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, something about the woodwinds flute.
It kind of reminds me of the two things. Maybe when Luke is training with Yoda, and also when I think it was in the third movie when they're on that planet with all the little creatures in the forest.
Oh, like the Ewoks or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and he uses, I mean, I don't know, I'm just pointing it out because I heard it, but the glockenspiel, I guess, or the mini metal xylophone. The bells.
That's what the ting is? The ting?
Yeah. But yeah, Williams uses that often in his, in the Star Wars stuff. And yeah, Final Fantasy, like that game, there's certain times where the guys who composed that music use elements of this too.
Yeah, it's
There's like,
very eerie kind of
yeah, like a ethereal, kind
background
of
music.
shimmering, like. So yeah, that's Neptune. Yeah, I would recommend listening to the whole symphony though. It's every song's really good, or
Okay.
every movement is really good. Yeah, I guess that's. Oh no, yeah, Debussy. There's one section of one of his nocturne that it reminded me a lot. Well, I don't know. I always thought it was the moment where Luke first meets Leia, Princess Leia, and the Princess Leia, in the I don't know if it was the Death Star or wherever she was being held captive. And then when I compared the two, they were quite a bit different. But I don't know, when I first listened to this, it gave me the impression of that scene very strongly. So I'll see if I can pull it up.
Okay.
Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is the third movement of Debussy's Nocturnes for Orchestra. And the movement's called Sirènes, or Sirens. This section here I always thought was similar to that movement's layout. But then when I listened to what John Williams did in the movie, it's not actually the same at all. But it has that kind of like, I don't know, dreamy quality about it, I guess. Like that chord progression there, I don't know, there's something, it's definitely in Star Wars somewhere. Every time I hear it, I'm like, no, there's no way it's not. Yeah, it's kind of all of the stuff I kind of pulled up for Star Wars related. Yeah, I guess I had mentioned Lord of the Rings too, because that's, I don't know. There's a couple songs that I had heard, a couple of symphonies, Vaughan Williams, and the second movement of Colin McPhee's Tabuh. The theme is very much there are themes in Lord of the Rings that Howard Shore uses that. So yes. So yeah, we're going from John Williams to Howard Shore now. And this is I think it's Gollum's theme that is similar, or something about the mines of Moria, maybe, or I don't know. You'll hear it.
I think I'm back.
Okay, so this is Lord of the Rings-esque.
Hello?
Hey, yeah. Can you hear the music?
Okay, I'm back.
I got one last one. So, and I just want to play this because, first of all, it's a Canadian composer that, I mean, he wrote this in 1936, and when you listen to the whole piece of music, like, so he was big into Balinese music, like gamelan orchestras, and yeah, I guess he was like a ethnomusicologist or whatever the title is, and or the title they had at the time. I don't know. Anyways, a lot of like guys like Steve Reich or Reich, don't however you want to pronounce it. There's a lot of in this piece of music that was basically done way before Steve Reich or Reich. And so it's interesting to hear like Steve Reich get all this credit, which he deserves. I love his music. Yeah, like nothing beats music for 18 musicians, but this piece of music, Tabuhan, by Colin McPhee, is like does a lot of what Steve Reich does, but like before his time, I guess. But yeah, this is another Lord of the Rings. Has that feel to it, I guess. I'd imagine Howard Shore knew about it. He's also Canadian. So. It's like ominous Hobbiton. Yeah, it kind of keeps going on, but that. Yeah, it's right out of that little section there, that motif. It's reminds me strongly of Bilbo and the Shire, and yeah, that's all. That's it. Or Vaughan Williams' Fifth Symphony too, first movement, similarities in places. So yeah, I'm definitely no scholar on this stuff, but it's more just like listening to things and then being like, hey, wait a second, this reminds me of this and this reminds me of that. But I do.
I think it was cool. I think it was a good thing to do that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's I think I enjoy that kind of comparative element to things, especially the arts. Being able to see when something was made, like if something like if I see or listen to a piece of music, or see a piece of art or listen to a piece of music, and then it really resonates with me, and then I always like going back and seeing sort of where that influence came from, and I find it very satisfying too, finding things that have kind of been lost in obscurity, that have so when something kind of gets this label as like, oh, this is fresh and new, and like so revolutionary, and then you kind of go back 100 years and find something that basically was doing the exact same thing or something very similar. I find those moments very satisfying.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know, it's fun, it's cool. I retract my statements about John Williams. I think he does a good job with being able to set up the emotional content for the music, and to sort of reinforce that emotional content in the scenes. And I think I mean, just through observation, I guess, but I think I learned a bit even about movie scores and why they're composed the way they are, trying to match music to specific time frames, or like time segments, I guess. So it makes sense that there's a lot of like repetition, a lot of like rhythmic drive, because it's easier to kind of splice that stuff together than it is to have like a very elaborate theme that you then have to kind of, I guess, work into like a number of scenes.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah.
thanks for doing this.
Oh, thank you too, actually. Yeah, a bit, I don't know. I always feel like I'm pretty haphazard and rambly about this stuff. So at the
No,
very
it's all
least,
good.
at the very least, whoever is listening, I suggest just listen to each one of these pieces on your own. And I mean, the music speaks for itself. I can't really speak for the music that well to begin with, and I don't think the music needs to be spoken for anyways. I think they're all really great pieces.
This is Rao Talk.